Hey, I'm David Barnes. I'm a chaplain here in the Air Force. Basically, I was released from Hungary the 5th of January, and so I had 2 weeks. I had some stuff to do, and I got here 2 weeks ago. So I've been here almost 2 weeks, not quite. Let's call it NATO adjacent. You know, it's like 15 nations, give or take, depending on how you count it. So yeah, it's sort of NATO, but it's sort of, just sort of its own thing. So yeah.
What was your preparation?
Yeah, we had a guy who he was bringing his family the exact same time, and he would always call me. He's like, "Chaplain, have you checked out here? Have you got your driver's license? Do you have a house?" Like, man, I haven't even thought about that. I haven't. And he kept bugging me. And finally, he says, "You got to go on the website." So I went on Facebook. That's hit or miss, right? That's like, I don't know, dating app or something like that. Everybody, it's like going to a taco truck and they're auctioning off the food, not taking your order. So it's like this crazy little, and it's not even PCS season. So we had, it was fine, but I didn't find anything. And finally somebody told me, you need like we call them CLOs, I don't know what they call them here, community liaison officers.
Oh, yeah.
So you need your personal like concierge, right? Like, that's actually not a bad idea because I don't know German and stuff like that. And connected with Lilly's company, and it was super easy. Everything was shut down though because it was Christmas season. So my movers were shut down. Everybody, they're like, just wait till, early January. So nothing was happening. So I basically took off driving here with nothing done at all, and just no idea where I was going, what I was doing. So that's about it. Well, that night, everything took longer because it started snowing. So we just came off a cold snap. So right now it's pretty decent, but it was freezing. Like everywhere was freezing, black ice, and everybody I talked to was like, be careful driving. So I kind of took it slow when I got here, and I pull up to base lodging. I had this reservation since July, and they kept extending my orders. And so everything was kind of off. And I walk in and they said, okay, I have a dog. So they said, do you have your shot records, your pet records? And I was like, oh, I forgot. And they said it was in the email we sent you in July. So I had forgotten to get his updated shots. I don't keep up with that stuff. So they're like, we can't let you stay in. I'm like, okay. So they're helping me. They're giving me this big long list. And I just texted Lilly and I was like, hey, this happened. No big deal. I'll get a hotel. She said, no, just wait a second. It's a half an hour. Meet me at this address. We'll put you up in an apartment. It was sweet. It was like furnished. I took pictures of it. I don't do the whole Instagram thing where you put stuff online, but it was like very nice apartment. I was like, okay, this is nice. And that gave me a whole week. And she said, and here is a link to an English-speaking vet. So, they gave me the list. I could have called all of them, but it's like, I just pushed it, put in an email. The next morning got a call to say, hey, you need something? It's like, yeah. And they said, I picked a day. So it's like everything was completely taken care of. It was sort of like sailing. I don't know if you boat, but you like come to dock. Some people crash, they can't like steer it. And with Lilly, it was like somebody just guided the boat in. I didn't have to worry about anything, and everything was taken care of. I have some weird orders for the initial period. I'm gonna be working at the command level, but I've got a couple of things to do before at the wing level, and they need to be on the base. So, but that gave me a week, and I called them and I said, hey, can I come in Saturday? So I've been here a week basically, and that gives me, I'm in place for my job on base. And Lilly, it's like no strings attached. I mean, I'm sorry, I told her from the beginning, and she's like, it's okay, whenever you have to leave. And then I need to get, there's things here you have to get, like you have to get VAT for the taxes, and you have to do different things. And she said, go get this. And she didn't pressure me, but 2 or 3 days later, I was able to get it. And I said, I got it. She said, okay, let's meet. Turned over the key, everything like that, paid for it. So, but she takes care of all the paperwork. So like everybody else, they're trying to teach you how to do it, and it's complicated, but she just takes care of it all. So it was very, very helpful. Oh. Yeah, so I get here, I had a number in Hungary the whole time, but I got rid of it. And I had a friend there who worked at the telecom or whatever the company is, and she said, don't get one here, wait till you get to Germany. So I'm driving for the whole distance with no phone service, just doing it's whatever. So yeah, I get here and I tell her that night, I said, I really need phone service. She said, well, it's gonna take me half an hour to get there. Why don't you stop? And here, she gave me another pin drop. And so I stopped by that place, and the guys were so nice. And I was like, well, I'm kind of in a hurry. I don't know how long, because you never know. If like a cell phone company, it could take forever. And they're like, okay, come back whenever. And I thought, well, how long will it take? And they said, it should just take a couple of minutes. I'm like, okay, I'll risk it. And I gave them my phone. I just handed my whole phone over, and like boom, 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 it was done. Like they gave me a little packet. Here's your number. Here's how you do everything. It's a 28-day, it locks you in for nothing. And once you get a house, come back if you want to, and we'll check out to make sure we can cover that and give you the best deal, because they have like 2 or 3 different companies. So she basically gave me everything within the span of 2 hours I had been here. Instead of pulling my hair out, having no phone, no place to live, the dog, she had everything set up. And so my colleagues who are at the command level, they have just been amazed. They're like, because I have somebody else who came in at the same time, and 2 weeks later now, she's just now getting the stuff done that Lily had done, because she had an appointment for me the very next day. And I was like, I need one more day because I gotta get settled, so that's fine. She knew what I wanted, what I was looking for. And it was 2 days here. I had literally everything done, including my house. And I have a buddy who moved here. He was looking for the same thing, like 3 bedrooms. I visited him recently, and no offense, the place that Lily got me was much more affordable, and I think much nicer, in a great neighborhood with, you know, 3 or 4 restaurants within walking distance, you know, things. And so he's kind of stuck with his large and growing family in this house, which I was like, that's not as good as what I got. And he worked really hard. He worked for, I think, months, but let's say weeks, trying to find the right place and stuff like that. So yeah, she made it totally easy. Everything was laid out, and it took the stress off, because you're learning a new job, you're moving anyway, you're kind of adjusting to all the stuff, and you're lost half the time. So it was amazing. I just felt from the beginning I had hit a double, and I was on, you know, all the pressure was off. And then from after that, every day I would just do a few things. And sometimes she would text me when I'm talking to her. She's like, well, you probably need to do this and this. Like, oh, okay. And I went and found that and did it, but it's like baby steps. So yeah, way ahead of the curve because of that help. Well, that's what I did. When I said the day 2, she had 3 houses lined up based on what she knew I wanted. I said, here's what I'm looking for. Here's the things I want in the house. She said, what's your budget? I said, here's what I really want, but here's what I can afford. And she found it all. And the first house was good, but it wasn't, she could tell that there were things, she was learning about me. She's like, oh, you really, okay, we're gonna go to this other house. And there I met the landlords, and they were incredible. So she has personal relationships with all the people. So it's not like, no offense, but it's not like Facebook where you don't know the people. She knows them, and she has personal relationships with them. So she was talking, they said, bring your dog over. They were like grandparents. They treated my dog like he was a kid, you know, I asked, and that made me comfortable. I could ask questions like, well, can I do this, and what are your expectations about that? And so with her there, it was a very frank conversation. If I was uncomfortable, I could ask her, and then she said, oh yeah, you can ask him that, and she would, so it just made everything easy, like opening a door. And I felt completely comfortable signing. And she had other things lined up, and I was like, I don't mean to be rude, but I don't need to see anything else. This is what I want. And yeah, so most people see multiple houses. I've met people that see 10 houses. To me, 2 was all I needed, and I found a great place. See, what the hitch was the movers had my stuff in Budapest in the warehouse, but they needed to have an address before they could go through all of their steps to get the moving truck authorized. So once I gave them the address, and then based on my work schedule, I could say, I'm looking in this window. They're like, they figured it out, and then they scheduled it. So I'm not moving until my stuff gets here, which it worked out perfect. It's gonna be the 1st of the month, which we never knew. And the thing is, she's also, Lily was also an intermediary for me, because at first the moving truck said, we're gonna come in 2 weeks, in late January. Then they said, no, it's gonna be later. It ended up being right in the middle. But every time I told her what it is, and she would convey that, but you know, I didn't have to negotiate with the landlords and all these changes. Like, you never know, I have no control over my life or anything. So it was nice to have somebody who was on my side and handling all the tough stuff. I had the friend who was pressuring me about the Facebook, and I wasn't making any traction. And then finally that same person said, you know, let's come to he had a kid. So he said, come to the park and let's have some coffee. Because he was worried about me. He's like, you're gonna go there and you don't know anything. And he said, you know, I heard about this lady, and he was searching everything. So he said, it's like a personal service. We call them CLOs there. It's a personal CLO. And I thought, oh, well, it's probably just one person. And it was a company. It's a small company, but you click on it and she's got a great Facebook page. It told me everything I wanted to know about her and her services. It had a charge attached to it. Like, I can't remember what it was, but it was very recent. I was like, that's actually worth it. Because then she says, and I'm with you, and I can't remember the time period, like 2 months or something like that. Anything you need, you know, I don't think I'll need that, but she's there for you. And I was like, wow, that's an easy call. And I punched it in again. Everything was shut down because of the holidays. But she's still, somebody in her company, she or her associate got back to me and said, you know, we're all on holiday until the 8th of January. Nobody's answered. But I said, okay, I'll take a gamble, and I just trusted. And the very day she said she was coming back, she came online, she said, hey, what can we do? And I said, I'm arriving this day, I'd really like to see a place. She said, yeah, the very next day I'll have stuff lined up for you. So it took a load off my mind and made my friends who were worried about me not be able to figure it out. Yeah, and I'm not kidding, my colleagues who are doing the same thing, they're not jealous, but they're really surprised. So they've said this to me so many times. It's like, Barnes, you already got this stuff taken care of. Every single thing that comes up, I'm like, yeah, well, I had somebody helping me, so yeah, it's easy. The Germany was cool, and you know, you never know here. You talk to people from Germany and their English is so good. Like we had a briefing from the local police, and I thought she was American, but she was German. Because then she would have somewhere, she'd turn to the German lady, she said, what's this word? And she'd speak in German. So I thought Lily was German, because her German is, you know, perfect, it seems to be. But it turns out, you know, I said, can I ask you something personal? Are you from this area? And she's like, no, I'm from Florida. Like, I'm from America. And it's like, oh, so yeah. So she understands what we need, and she understands the situation here. And she sidestepped a lot of things that I would have, like, messed up on. It's a lot more chaotic PCSing to Ramstein than I imagine. And I've had this as a chaplain, and you hear things, you talk to people. So I've already talked to a ton of people. I've only been at work for 1 week, and it feels like I've been here for a month. And the most often thing I hear from people, they're like, oh, we had trouble finding a place, and you know, geography, like what's a good place, everything's so different, right? And so they either get in a place that's not quite what they need, or it's too expensive, or there's a situation with the landlord didn't quite work, you know. So it'd be nice to find a way to sort of bypass all of that and get all the cards on the table and have someone saying, here's kind of what your choices, your good choices might be, and let you pick, and then help you execute it. So I think it's a huge, I don't know what the military can do, but it's a free market, you know, but you get here and there's a lot of options. But you can also have too many options and not quite know which one is the best for you. So having someone that has those personal connections, who's been here, who knows the American side and the economy side, the German side, it was a great asset for me. Now I know all of my stuff is lined up. I know when the truck's coming, and I have absolute peace of mind. Like, it's just no stress. And again, I've talked to other people, and they're kind of living out of a suitcase, and they're like trying to get in the house, but they're still, you know, they're trying to do it all themselves, and it's like, it's not the best way. It takes a team to make something easy. Yeah, Lily's company, her team is excellent. Yeah, and I never felt like I was alone. I never felt like I was worried about something. Ask a question, she would answer it. And she has that German way, you know, very direct, right? She'll tell you exactly what it is, and that's how the Germans are. They don't fluff you around, and they don't tell you what you want to hear. They're like, this is what you need to do, and this is how it's gonna probably work out, but we'll try to do your best. And I've seen her do that, because then I recommended a friend almost immediately who was really struggling with this, and she had actually been here longer than me and accomplished less, and she was getting a little stressed out, and her boss was getting a little stressed out. And so I said, well, no pressure, but you know, this kind of worked for me. And when I connected her, I was like, oh, Americans, you know, we can be kind of pushy and like do it the way we want. And I'm like, I don't know if she's gonna like it, because I'm kind of an easygoing guy. Maybe it was me, maybe it wasn't Lily. But then I talked to her 2 days later. I said, well, how did that thing work out? She said, it was great. She found me a place. She started, like, it was unbelievable. Like, I didn't think that she would be able to satisfy all the particular needs. Because I talked to Lily when I was signing my final payment several days after I left TLA. I said, so how did that meeting go? She said, well, she had some very particular things she needed. So I'm trying to figure out how to find a landlord that matches what she wants. And I'm not sure it's gonna work, but we're gonna try. And so when I talked to my friend, she's like, it worked, they accepted, they did everything I wanted them to do. And I think Lily's relationship had a lot to do with that behind the scenes. So yeah, so we have basically two people that are extremely happy, and now we can do our work without worrying about stuff. The reason I share my personal experience, the CLO, we came from our small base. It was on a Hungarian base, but it was like multinational. We had 12 to 18 nations, depending on how you count it. And we had a number of Lillys. We had literally 5 or 6 people whose only job was to help us get settled and integrate and set up I didn't even talk to you about the utilities that Lily's helped me with, you know, all that little stuff, right? Basic stuff, trash, all that. Germany's trash and stuff. You gotta know how to recycle and things like that. So we had people, for a tiny base that's just several hundred personnel and their family, we had multiple people whose job was to help us do that. No offense, I'm sure Ramstein's great. I've absolutely loved Ramstein, but I did not get the feel, like the offices, you go to the office, they're 100% for you. Yeah. But figuring out which office you need to go to and when and how and what's, you know, that was not there. And for me, that's what German Aid provided for me. Like, think about how much time she spent just that first night dropping everything with her family to drive. So she spent 2 or 3 hours with me just to make sure I was settled, right? And then skip all the other stuff we did, like texting, and then when we actually signed the lease and met with the landlords, that's at least a day of your life. So I had her basically full time for 2 days, hand holding, like basically babying me and taking care of things. Yeah, so it was strong, it helped. It got me where I need to be, because this is a different kind of job than I was doing, and I'm going to move into a different job. So I'm kind of preparing for doing all the paperwork and security stuff for my command level stuff, right? I didn't have the mental capacity to make all these adjustments at once. I'm not a quick adjustment person. It takes me a few weeks, months to get like situated. I was able to do that. And so it's actually made me more successful, and I've been able to integrate both with my current team and the team I'm really here for, because I had that peace of mind, and I was able to help a colleague who's going through this. So it's a force multiplier for us. Yeah.
You got your step in early.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying the military should do it. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying for me it was a great asset.
Well, look, that's all I really had.
Thank you.
Anything else that you wanted to add about?
Well, just thanks. You and people that have been here for a while. I know you and your family, and Lily and her family. We're new, so you're basically reaching down and helping get us up, and I think that helps everybody. So just appreciate everything you've done.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I appreciate your time today, man.
Yes, sir.
All right. Cool.
Thanks.